This was a predicament to the work of the SIU, and we are glad that efforts were put in place to resolve this matter, culminating in the opening of this provincial office here today in the Northern Cape. Unfortunately, this period of COVID-19 has proven to be a rather painful illustration that corruption knows no boundaries. Some of the taxpayers' monies meant to fight against the pandemic were regrettably lost to corruption. The impact of this corruption has been felt across all spheres of government. We condemn in the strongest terms the looting of resources meant to preserve the lives of our people. In this regard, the SIU has seized with investigations across the country, and the wheels of justice are grinding, albeit slowly, but in a direction that will resolve some of this corruption predicament that we are facing. Those who looted our resources are called to account through the SIU. Accounts have been frozen, payments stopped, and government officials and some of the companies in the private sector were called out. We applaud the good work of the SIU in protecting public funds from corrupt elements within society and the public service. We have seen the pernicious effects of looting of public funds, resulting in load shedding, lack of access to water by communities, and poor infrastructure. The work of the SIU comes alongside positive developments in the fight against corruption. As early as February this year, we had reported to the nation that the establishment of the special tribunal has enhanced the SIU's ability to recoup embezzled funds from the state. We applaud the SIU for their biggest recovery to date against ABB South Africa, amounting to 1.5 billion rands. Law enforcement agencies coordinating their work through the Fusion Center have handled 231 cases or incidents related to COVID-19. 30 cases were closed after investigations, and 31 accused persons are appearing in 14 criminal cases in courts across the country. More than 12 referrals were sent to various departments for disciplinary actions for employees involved in irregularities. Furthermore, 145 million in 72 bank accounts have been blocked by the Financial Intelligence Center, and 119 million rands has been preserved by the Asset Forfeiture Unit through the Prevention of Organized Crimes Act. The SIU has to date enrolled cases in the Special Tribunal to the value of 365 million and has served 124 million involving supply chain irregularities. The South African Revenue Services recovered 165 million in taxes. It is clear that there is no longer a place to hide. This, ladies and gentlemen, was the work as of February this year. But the work ahead still remains incredibly difficult, and there will be many more other challenges, cases which require prompt resolutions. To respond to these challenging cases, organizations like the SIU, which are empowered by law to fight against corruption and maleficence, should spare no efforts in bringing perpetrators to book. They must extract all criminals like a person extracting a teeth. We are encouraged that the SIU has shown to have teeth. They have demonstrated through various actions that where public funds are spent against unintended purposes or without adhering to prescripts, they will not hesitate to crack the whip. Preventing and detecting corruption should be our collective priorities as leaders in government and society as a whole. In this regard, we should not just relegate this responsibility to the institution like the SIU. We should work on preventative measures and ethical leadership. Let's prevent corruption before it happens by putting early warning systems that will detect and give us early hints to prevent corruption. Let's appoint credible and ethical officials in the various state institutions so that we do not deal with the aftermath of corruption, but we prevent it before it happens. And I'm glad with the work that is already happening with AG South Africa and all institutions across the country to work more on preventative measures. This will also be informed and be anchored on the new anti-corruption strategy that Cabinet has adopted. The Constitution and the rule of law are sacrosanct components of our democracy. We must continue to respect and protect all institutions aimed to enforce law in our country. The Commission of Inquiry into State Capture is one such institution. We will continue to support its work. We're called upon to assist the Commission. We must do so. Hence, the President of the Republic of South Africa will appear before the Commission during the month of April to assist the Commission to arrive at the truth. We call upon all South Africans to do the same, irrespective of their social standing. The mobilization that the Premier spoke about against state institutions will never succeed, because credible and legitimate institutions of our democracy have been able to withstand the test of time. They will never fail now because certain individuals are called upon. The law must never have eyes. It must be blind and deal with corruption, crime, and any form of malfeasance across the country without any fear or favor. This is called upon by the Constitution of the Republic of South Africa and the various pieces of legislations that we have. There must be no doubt, because this is about the future of our country. It's also about the future of our children. We must, spare no effort in dealing with malfeasance in any corners of the state or in the private sector. It is in the interest of society as a whole. No evil can triumph over good. So the work that is currently being done by the SIU will succeed. There is no one who can obstruct it from succeeding. And the work that is being done by the Commission of Inquiry into State Capture will also succeed. And the work that is being done also by the National Prosecuting Authority, who are supposed to prosecute without fear or favor, will also succeed, because it's anchored on the Constitution of our country, which is what the ANC wanted through its various documents. The African Claims, the Freedom Charter, Ready to Govern, and the Principles for a Democratic South Africa. We wanted a constitutional democracy so that the Constitution must reign supreme as the supreme law of the land, and the Constitutional Court become final arbiter on all matters, and our courts, if and when there are disputes, should be able to resolve them. So we are convinced as government that this is the only way we can build an orderly society. We can say with some concern that ethical leadership across the board, both in government and the private sector, is at its lowest point. Sweeping reforms across government are currently being implemented in terms of the professionalization of the public service led by the Department of Public Service and Administration. We need to support those efforts to ensure that we anchor more our fights against corruption on preventative measures. In capacitating our law enforcement agencies, we are creating an enabling environment which ensures that our enforcement agencies leverages on technology to deter and prevent corruption. Enforcement must be innovative and competent against sophisticated criminal networks who use latest technology to commit white-collar crime. We should not allow where institutions of the state are using old and stale technology. The technology the SIU that is supposed to use must be at an advanced stage and be the cutting-edge technology, which must be ahead of the technology that is being used by criminals. I must say part of the difficulty, Honorable Premier, that I will actively pursue is recovering money which is owed by national and provincial departments as well as municipalities to the SIU. Perhaps time has come for us to ensure that all accounting officers have it ingrained in their performance agreements that they must ensure that monies which are owed to the SIU are duly paid, failure which might lead to an audit qualifications. I always raise this issue sometimes, you know. People raise issues about Steinhoff that is giving support to the Hawks in terms of the forensic investigation that is being done by PwC. And they criticize that the Hawks are receiving money from Steenhof. Despite the fact that the Hawks did not receive any money from Steenhof, the money goes to PwC, and measures have been put in place to safeguard and not to compromise the work of the investigation on that matter. But they are still being criticized. I say to them, you forget that the SIU itself receives money from departments and institutions of the state that are being investigated. If the SIU is investigating the Department of Public Works, it is the Department of Public Works that must pay for the investigation of the SIU. Yeah, that is how it is done. They are the ones who pay. So the difficulty that I'm referring to here is that the Department of Public Works, if it is being investigated, or whatever state-owned entity, whether it's ESCOM or it's Transnet, the accounting officers, they don't pay the SIU. They take long, or sometimes they do not even pay. So this is something that we will have to take very seriously, that it must be put in their performance agreements so that they must pay. We can't have them not paying because they are being investigated. It is not their personal interest or their personal matter. This is in the national interest. We cannot continue as normal where an important institution like this needs more forensic investigators and accountants to ensure that we have the skills to match those with the depth in the state. Therefore, ensuring that more than 510 million rands, which is owed to the SIU by departments and municipalities, is recovered, will enable the full capacitation of the SIU. So as you receive this office, Honorable Premier, please pay when it is due. The figures I have mentioned above can be broken down as follows. Local government owes 125,544,676 rands. This amounts to 24% of the total amount owed to the SIU by various municipalities across the country. Provincial government, 98,629,050 rands. This amounts to 19% of the total amount owed to the SIU. The national government is the biggest culprit, 134,582,946 rands. This amounts to 26% of the total amount owed to the SIU. Maybe I must go with a debt collecting letter to a cabinet meeting. Public entities, 156,926,000 rands. This amounts to 31% of the total amount owed to the SIU. This is a matter I will pursue closely, so Premier, from now on, henceforth, when you see a phone call from me, please do not ignore. Here in the Northern Cape, the rate of reporting corruption and maladministration to the SIU is low compared to other provinces. This is understandable, taking into consideration that the SIU did not have offices here. However, this should be a thing of the past. I appeal to members of the community to fully utilize these offices and report all allegations of corruption. The Advocate Mtibi had already said that since the announcement by the Premier in his State of the Nation address, things are beginning to change. He does receive lots of reports. Leaders preoccupied with the pursuit of self-enrichment at the expense of service delivery must have shivers down their spine with the opening of these offices. They must know that they will face the full might of the law. We know the stance of the Premier on corruption. We are looking forward to the collaboration with the Northern Cape Provincial Government to fight against this scourge. The opening of the Northern Cape SIU offices takes place during the April month, which is a Freedom Month in South Africa, where we celebrate heroes and heroines of our people who waged countless struggles against apartheid. Some even sacrificed their lives for freedom and democracy to reign in the country. In their memory, we will ensure that constitutionalism reigns supreme in South Africa. One of the sacrosanct principles of the Constitution is the rule of law, and we shall continue to endeavor that no one undermines these principles. I want to congratulate the SIU for opening these offices here in the Northern Cape. Continue investigating serious malpractice, corruption, malfeasance, and maladministration in relation to the administration of state institutions, state assets, and public money, as well as any other conduct which may seriously harm the interest of the state and the public. You have our support to deal with such kind of conduct. You also have our support in dealing with those that threaten the investigators, because one of the things that the SIU is dealing with is the threats to investigators across the country. Please allow them to do their job without any fear, favor. It's not the investigators who are putting you in trouble. You yourself has put yourself in trouble by putting your hand on the pit. So please don't trouble the investigators. They are just uncovering what wrong you have done. It's not them. You did it yourself, so please don't blame the SIU for your own misconduct. Thank you very much, and congratulations to the SIU.
Thank you very much, Minister. We are about 15 minutes ahead of schedule, which is, a Premier is appreciative of that fact. And the fact that it is also the beginning of the financial year today. So our processes, government planning processes makes it still easy for us to take into account the costs the minister was referring to, as we will be tabling it at the legislature in few days, Premier. I want to give the subs an opportunity just for one item, so we just check the readiness on the other side. And from the subs, we'll then call upon Mrs. Mashiko Masombuka to do the vote of thanks.
he's coming. Program Director, thank you very much. The Minister of Justice and Correctional Services, Minister Lamola, the Northern Cape Premier, Dr. Zamani Saul, the SIU Head of the Unit, Advocate Andy Mutibe, the State Security Agency Domestic Branch Director, Advocate Mohlaudi Mofe, the State Security Agency Provincial Head, Mr. Ricardo Vessels, the Acting Provincial Police Commissioner, Major General Harriet Duval, the Public Protector, Provincial Head, Mr. Mlungisi Kanya, Auditor General, South Africa, Mematsidis, Wesi, MECs of the province and your executive teams, the Executive Mayor of Solblaki Municipality, Councillor Patrick Mabilo, the Chief Whip of the ruling party, the Speaker of the province, Executive Mayors, the SIU Executive Team, the Program Director, Mefofe, distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, I stand before you with a deep sense of honor, privilege, and humility to express on behalf of the head of the unit, Advocate Andy Mutibe, and our colleagues, our profound gratitudes to Minister Lamola in particular for having taken time off your many responsibilities to join us here today and to share this occasion with us, and indeed for having inaugurated the launch of the SIU office in the Northern Cape province. On the stage with me, I am joined by my colleague, Mr. Kaiser Khanyago, our head of communications and stakeholder, who will be doing the closing remarks. Minister and the Premier, both your speeches have laid due emphasis on the importance of the role of SIU and the expectations by your respective officers. The entire province and the country at large is truly expecting SIU to curb corruption and maladministration. So we can indeed confirm to yourselves, Minister, and the Premier, that we are geared for the challenge. We are inspired by your great words. Let me then express our deep appreciation, Dr. Saul, the Premier of the Northern Cape, and your colleagues and the people of the Northern Cape for having graciously agreed to host us and also to allow us to establish an office within your soil and in this beautiful town called Kimberley. I would like to take this opportunity to thank everyone who was involved in organizing this event. Your hard work and all the logistical support is greatly appreciated. In closing, it would be remiss, my colleagues, the Minister, Program Director, and the Premier, of me not to acknowledge and salute the members of the police choir for having spiced the occasion with pleasant, artistic, excellent voices. These are the melodies of Africa, and I have seen many of us tapping, and you continued, and you will be allowed after the session to continue to tap and continue to socialize. Allow me then to thank management of the different departments, staff members from the Premier's office, and the SIU colleagues who have made this day a success. I wish to thank you. And after this, we will be having a finger lunch. Please, you will be directed as to the specific places where you need to go to. I thank you, and over to my colleagues.
It's still good morning. Good morning, Minister. Good morning, Premier. Good morning, Head of the Investigating Unit, MECs present, and everybody else. Mine is a very short remark, but I would like to take from where my colleague left off by saying we want to really thank the officials from the Northern Cape government, Premier. Like you have said, when we first met with you about this event, it was the 27th of November last year. And we went into holidays. We basically came back middle of January, and the target never changed. And we really appreciate the people who assisted us in the Northern Cape under the leadership of Metlalets. We really appreciate you. We also appreciate the coordinator from our side who was helping with the coordination of this event, Ntate Jerry Fu. I think he's here. We want to really appreciate you for the coordination work that you did. We really appreciate you. The minister was speaking about the fact that you need to pay us, and for us to have that kind of a relationship, it is my job as a stakeholder person to stakeholder you. Therefore, I will be coming here to speak to the HODs that are here. I'll be coming here to talk to all the people that are responsible, state institutions here, to say this is the process that we are going to follow. And we are very clear that we are here to assist the people of South Africa to root out corruption. And for us, that part will happen, and I promise that we will come back as frequent as possible to come and deal with those issues of stakeholdering and to make sure that the people of South Africa understand the role of the SIU, why we are here, and what we are going to be doing for them. Those who are looking at us as enemies, it is because you have done something wrong. If you have not done anything wrong, you must sleep well and know that we are not coming for you. But if you know you have done something wrong, we will definitely do that. I always make this statement that we do not investigate people. We investigate processes, and we find people there, and we come after them. Don't come to us and say, investigate the Premier. We are not here to investigate the Premier. Give us evidence that the Premier has done something wrong. Then we can start talking. Therefore, that's where we are, and as far as this is concerned, we are appreciative of the welcome that we received here, and we will make sure that we will not take the province for granted. We will make sure that it will get the same kind of attention that we are giving to all the other provinces in this country. The last part of my work is to give guidance in terms of the food that you are talking about, Masumbuk. I was instructed to tell you that the dignitaries must go back to where they were before they came into the hall. That's where they will be served from. The HODs and other dignitaries will be in another holding room at the back of the hall. They will show you, and the rest of us will go and dish up and come here, and we hope that while we do that, the band will make us dance again. Thank you very much, Master of Ceremonies.
Thank you very much, and Tate and Minister, Premier, everyone, this brings us to the end of this prestigious occasion. As announced, you just follow that instruction also. And for those that will be traveling, we wish you to be safe on the road, on air, wherever, how you travel. We also want to encourage you to continue to observe the COVID-19 protocols and stay safe, wear your mask, ensure that your hands stay clean, and have yourselves a wonderful Easter holidays. Thank you very much. We can expect the delegation from my left to move towards my right, and the rest, I'm told, will have to move towards that end. Thank you.